Okay, so coming to my introduction, I have total 20 years of experience, in which 14 years into SAP and 13 years into utility industry.
Oh,
And
3?
13 years, 1-3.
Okay, great.
So overall, I worked with overall 13 years. I have experience with UK, United Kingdom uh, projects, Gulf projects, and overall it has been 8 years in US. So in US, we work for electricity, gas, water, wastewater. These are the 4 different projects I worked on. Currently, I'm working with the water utility. Okay, so this is my small introduction, and in which I got exposure to regulated as well as deregulated markets. We used different interfaces. We also used flat file transfers. We used EDI docs. Different experiences, different clients with the different technologies.
Angad, do you have the experience in power sector?
That's what I said. So I worked for electricity, gas, and
Okay.
water.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay.
Electricity, water, gas, and waste management.
Okay. Okay, we are mainly looking at power is one of the main area.
Power or electricity?
Electricity, we are talking about electricity power.
Yeah, because power is different, electricity is different.
Oh, sorry. Then I'm
Power
sorry.
Power is generation part, and SAP Utilities does not support generation.
Yeah, correct. That is, I understand. You are looking at electricity.
Yeah. So we'll be covering our training sessions not only restricted to electricity. We'll be jumping onto electricity scenarios as well as some cases gas and some cases water utility, and more than water utility.
Okay.
So wherever we get a good example, we'll jump onto that business requirement. Instead of saying example, we'll say business requirement. So in our throughout the sessions, we'll be discussing about business requirements, and on the business requirement, how we're going to customize or configure SAP system, where we have to customize or where we have to configure SAP. And we'll be discussing about different scenarios wherein we'll say how you are integrating with third-party applications.
Okay.
Just now I said whether you go with EDI docs or you go with file transfer or you'll go with flat file or whatever.
Okay.
So you'll be discussing all those things on fly, because as I said, when you get into the screen, based on the discussion, how you guys questioning will come up with scenarios and we'll discuss all those concepts. Okay. So just to give you an introduction on utility system, IS Utilities is one of the industry specific solutions from SAP. So there are almost 18 different industry specific solutions. Like if you name it, you'll get IS pharmaceuticals, IS aeronauticals, IS defense, IS insurance, IS oil and gas. In the same way, IS utilities is one of the application. So this is add-on components, we call it as, or business functions activated based on the platform of R3 itself. So if you look into the system, it's an R3 system, but there are additional business components are being activated or added as part of utility system.
Okay.
So in some cases, like if you go with work management, utilities does not have its own work management. It uses a concept called plant maintenance. It's a part and piece of plant maintenance. So where you create your service notifications or service orders and all the stuff is a part of plant maintenance. So that concept we use it as a work management in utilities. Whereas in R3 we use FI and CO. Along with FI and CO in utilities we use a concept called FICA. So FI is common, financials. Financials is your GL account posting, reconciliation, and everything is a common one. But utility uses a different concept called contract accounts, receivables, and payables. So at the end of the day, you are integrating again with FICA. That's a different story. But the concept we use is contract accounts, receivables, and payables. Right? So there are few things which differentiate from R3, but at the end, at the back end, we are tightly integrated with R3 system itself. We'll discuss it further on this one. So, as I said, industry specific utilities application is a sales information system for utility industry. So when I say utilities, the same application or the same business functions can be used for different industries which are utility industries like electricity, gas, water, heating system, multimedia, and waste management. So most of the industries, most of the utility industries, they can have one combination only with a single utility service, or there could be a combination of utility services. So let's say even if you look at UK projects like UK utility companies, they go with two services, electricity as well as gas. And in US, most of the parts or some of the areas, we can say some of the areas, they go with two services. They also provide electricity, they also provide gas. But certain areas, they are strictly restricted or they are strictly do only one business, which is electricity.
Right.
Right. So there are combinations. So the same application can be used for one particular utility service, or it's a combination of services, mainly electricity, gas, water, heating system, multimedia, and waste management. So when I say multimedia, um, you can say it's a cable TV or a dish network. I mean, now they came up with a different solution altogether with IS Media, but utilities can also be implemented with the same application.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Now, so mainly what I have seen in the market is electricity, gas, water, and waste management. These are the perfect industries for this utility application.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
So,
Okay.
so utilities application is also called CCS in a regular language. We call it as CCS. That's called customer care and services. So ISU CCS basically concentrates its business activities only on a retail part. So that's what I'm saying. So when you look into electricity or a water or a gas, let's go with electricity itself to get a best example. When you look
Yeah.
into electricity, there are different activities or different organizations will be taking care of different activities. So especially when you look into electricity generation or electricity service providers, the first and foremost activity is someone has to generate the electricity. So generation part is taken care by a different utility company or different organizations, or it could be a group of organizations or a different organization. Now, once you generate the electricity, and it can be any mean, like it could be a thermal power or nuclear power or your wind power or solar power or whatever means you are using to generate the electricity. Now, once you generate the electricity, it will be in megawatts or whatever, kilowatts or megawatts. Mostly it will be a megawatts. So once you generate the electricity from a generation plant, the transmission is the organization which is responsible to transmit the electricity from a generation point to the nearby substation. Right? Transmission is the responsibility of generation, I mean, transmitting the power from a generation point to the substation. So
Okay.
substation is the area where you step down or step up the electricity. So if you are passing it to further substations or somewhere else, then you'll use a step up transformers. Or else if you are using it for a distribution purpose, there will be a different transformers called step down transformers and all the stuff. So once it reaches to the substation, your distribution activity starts. So your distribution is an organization which is responsible to distribute the electricity to your customers or consumers. Now, once you distribute or once you supply the electricity, that means supplying the electricity is you are the responsible person for setting up the infrastructure, setting up your transformer, setting up your poles, setting up your wiring, setting up your meters, giving connectivity. Everything is a responsibility of distribution company. Now, once you set it up everything, then on a periodic basis, collecting the meter read, calculating the charges, sending an invoice, follow up with the customer, collect the amount from the customer is the responsibility of a retailing. These are the four different areas in electricity: generation, transmission, distribution, and retail. The retail part is called CCS, customer care and services.
Mhm.
Now, depending on the utility company what you deal, they may have a different business scenarios. Generation is always a different utility. Generation part is deregulated by default. Anyone can generate electricity. Even if you want, you can generate the electricity. Whereas the transmission and distribution, there could be two different organizations, or there could be only one organization which is responsible for transmission and distribution. Simple logic is transmission is responsible of setting up the high tension wires, high tension poles, and everything. Right? As we are dealing with kilowatts and as we are dealing with megawatts, so all your high tension equipment should be with the transmissions. Distribution part is setting up the poles, setting up your wiring, setting up meters, taking care of meters is your distribution part, right? So if you take an example of AP or whatever, Telangana or Andhra Pradesh, both of them are same, have the same infrastructure. So what they did is the generation part is taken care by Genco, right? There is an organization called Genco, Generation,
In-
TS Genco, Telangana State Generation Corporation Limited. The next part is Transco, which is transmission related information. The next part is called um, CPDCL, NPDCL, SPDCL, right? I mean, you can start with TS or AP, both of them are same. That's what I'm saying. So TS, CPDCL, NPDCL, SPDCL. That represents Central Power Distribution Corporation Limited, Northern Power Distribution Corporation Limited, Southern Power Distribution Corporation Limited, right? So the entire state is classified into three distribution centers or distribution corporation limiteds. So southern part has its own service territory, northern part has had its own service territory, southern part it has its own service territory. That means that organization is responsible for the entire infrastructure development or infrastructure setup in that service territory. That's why they classified it into three different service territories. The same organization is also responsible for your retail activities as well, because as a customer, if I need service, I have to reach to either northern or central or southern, depending on the location where I am applying my electricity service or request. You have to reach out to that point. Got it? So
Yeah.
in AP or Telangana, distribution as well as customer care and services is taken care by one organization. I mean, one in the sense, three different organizations. Of course, overall it's an one organization, but southern, central, northern.
Venkat, one second. We are looking at that scenario of US-based company.
Yeah, I'm getting to that example itself. Now,
Okay.
the example I'm going to talk is a US example.
Okay.
So, the same example, the same electricity, if you look into US, in US there is a concept there is a concept called regulated or deregulated market. So especially if you look into one particular area, especially like Texas and areas, they are purely deregulated, wherein your transmission and distribution is taken care by one organization. I mean, there are group of organizations, but a set of organizations. Retail is entirely a different organization. In Texas market, like in the areas of Texas, they are deregulated. So you'll be having a transmission and distribution which are regulated. They don't want to deregulate them and they are not supposed to do it. But whereas the retail is deregulated. That means you'll have n number of service providers for electricity in the same area. As I said, in India, it's a deregulated market. You'll have only one and only one service provider. If you want electricity, you have to go with them. Whereas in US, especially in the area of Texas, it's a deregulated, so you can choose whichever service provider you like. So generation is deregulated by default. Transmission and distribution is regulated. Retail can be deregulated. Transmission and distribution, they'll never ever do the deregulation, because if they start doing this deregulation, you can see everywhere there will be a different poles, different wiring systems, different transformers, different everything. The best example for that is back in India. If you look into your telecommunication, the same location you can see BSNL, you can see Airtel, you can see Idea, you can see whatnot, right? You'll have four different towers. That's called deregulation of transmission and distribution. Electricity department will never do that.
Okay.
Now, so coming to the retail, as I said, in Texas, we have a deregulated. There are areas which are regulated as well in US. But transmission and distribution is taken care by a different entity altogether, whereas the retail is taken care by a different entity altogether. Like in Texas, if you look into retail, there are almost 40 to 45 service providers. 40, 45 service providers which are providing electricity. I mean, there are different areas like There are few companies which take only 20,000 customers. There are companies which take care of 2 million customers, 5 million customers. So depending on their capacity.
Okay.
So especially transmission and distribution is separate, retail is separate in US.
Okay.
Clear?
Okay.
Now, so when it comes to CCS, customer care and services, the entire application is classified into 5 modules or application areas. The first one is called customer service. Second one is your work management. Third one is your device management. Fourth one is billing and invoicing. Fifth one is FICA, financial accounting, contract accounts receivables and payables. So these are the 5 different application components in utilities. Of course, there are other modules as well, like one is called RTP, real-time pricing, and the other one is called EDM, energy data management. There are different concepts where you go with your advanced metering infrastructure, AMIs. In such cases, you'll deal with your EDM and RTP,
Okay.
right? So that's a different modules. But basically, even though you use those or you don't use it, but all these 5 or the basic modules or application components in utility application. So as I said, even though we call it as utility applications, the back end, they are tightly integrated with R3 modules. So especially if you look into customer services, now customer service is a part of plant maintenance in R3 system. So the same components we are using, but with a different business scenarios which are specific to utilities. So customer service is tightly integrated with plant maintenance. Okay, because in plant maintenance you have service orders, service notifications, everything. So the same concept we use it for utility application. But
Venkat, one
yeah,
question.
mhm,
That CRM is used in web service, no, in cloud. Then that is integrated with SAP's
ISU.
ISU, correct?
So if you are using only utility application, then we call it as a customer services, CS. The same CS has been replaced or not replaced. The accessibility has been provided in CRM.
Mm.
So whatever activities you can do in CS, the same thing you can do it in CRM. Now let me give you a background of it. So when you look into utility application or utility service provider, there will be 3 different layers of services. They classify it in 3 different layers. The first layer is called self-service, customer self-service. So when you look into customer self-service, your utility company will have 3 applications. One is called web application, right? Web self-service. The second one is your IVR, instant voice response. Third one is your mobile app. So these 3 comes under self-service. So most of the utility companies, they have given numerous functionality in these 3 applications. Like I've seen utility companies like you can do your move in, move out, you can request a service notification, you can view your bill, you can pay your bill, you can request for a disconnection, you can request for a reconnection. All these things you can do it from a self-service. But there are utility companies which has a restricted access to self-service. Like only you can view your bill, you can pay your bill. One service notification you can trigger. You cannot do move in, you cannot do transfer, you cannot do move out, anything. Either ways. But self-service has certain restrictions. Now, if activities which you cannot perform through self-service, what you do is you can reach out to a call center, right? The second
Yeah.
layer is called call center. That call center people will use a front-end application. Now, when I say front-end application, either you can use CRM, either you can use C4C, or you can use Salesforce. It doesn't matter, right? So
Yeah.
basically, SAP recommends to go with CRM or C4C because its own products. Integration will be very easy. You can simply use a middleware and you can integrate it. So that's where SAP recommends to go with CRM. And now SAP said, I'm going to stop supporting CRM from 2025. Better to switch to C4C. Okay. So now the latest component is C4C, Cloud for Customer. Don't worry, whatever application you're using, the concepts, the business scenarios, the business activities are the same. They are not going to change any of those activities. The only thing is how you access is different.
Okay.
So in CRM, we call it as, transaction launcher. So backend IS utility transactions itself you used to call in CRM. Now what they said is, no, you don't have to do it. CRM is designed for utilities now, and which we call it as contract management, right?
Yeah.
And now they said, okay, let's get rid of CRM. We are designing an application for customer for cloud where it will be very easy, accurate in speed, whatever business techniques or sales techniques, what they are using. The same contract management, they're extending it to C4C. The only difference is in SAP, we used to have different databases like Oracle, SQL Server. So they want to get rid of those database dependencies. Now they designed their own database called HANA. And on that, they are designing these applications C4C. So the backend is HANA, right?
Okay.
Now, so coming back to utilities, as I said, even though we have our own application areas, tightly they are integrated with R3 system. Now, in customer service, as I said, okay, we are discussing about customer representatives, right? Call center, that's a front office.
Customer service agent.
Yeah. So these are customer service agents. So those will be using your C4C or CRM or Salesforce or whatever.
Okay.
They also have certain restrictions because every activities they may not be able to do it from, or they have a restricted access. Now, certain activities as a back office people. So the third layer, the final layer is called back office. So the back office people will have the complete access to utility system. So they can log in and they can do much more activities in ISU. So the back office people access utility system. So these are three different layers. Got it? Say for
Okay.
example, in customer services, there are different business scenarios. In customer services, we use move in, move out, transfer, switch, temporary disconnection, temporary reconnection. So widely taken business scenarios. In customer services, we have move in, move out, transfer of service, switch, swap, disconnection, that is temporary disconnection, temporary reconnection.
This is
No,
all. This is also
yeah, go
called
ahead.
move home. The transfer option is called move home.
So transfer of service is also called as moving out,
Move home. Move home.
moving out,
In and
moving
out.
out. Yeah, moving out. And when you say moving out, there are two different concepts: moving out business partner, moving out premise. That's where I used a word called transfer of service.
Okay.
So when you do a moving out a business partner, moving out a premise, altogether we call it as transfer of service.
Okay.
Either you transfer the service from one premise to another premise, or you transfer the service from one business partner to another business partner.
Okay.
So that's called transfer of service. Swap
Okay.
is called product change or offer change. So especially when you look into electricity utility, deregulated market, it's a competitive market. So utility companies will keep on sending some sort of offers. They give special discounts, special rates, special attractive campaigning. So one utility company says, okay, I'm going to give you 4 cents per kWh. But the other company says, no, I'm going to charge 8 cents, but your weekends will be free, right? Or else over a period of time, your utility company came back and said, okay, I'm going to give free nights. So they'll keep on giving much more offers. So a customer has a choice that he can choose what rate card he want to use it. That's called swap. So he can change or he can switch from one
Product.
format to
One
another
product to
format.
another.
Right. So that's called swap. Switch is a concept in deregulated market where, let's say, as I said, transmission and distribution service providers are unique, regulated. So currently you're staying in one apartment or one residential house which comes under one transmission and distribution service provider. Now you're transferring your service to the other location which falls under other transmission and distribution service provider. So we are just switching it. The electricity service provider is same, but the transmission and distribution service provider is different. So we are switching the transmission and distribution service provider. That's called
Okay.
switch. And there are different concepts in
Is
deregulated,
it
like
something
we
like
call it
similar to
as,
portability? Something like called portability
yeah.
in mobile industry?
Mhm.
In
Yeah, if you
mobile
look into
industry,
telecommunication, yes.
yeah, portability.
So
Okay.
that's all called in customer services.
Okay.
Now, when you look into customer services, as I said, a part we are using a plant maintenance, a part we are using a material management. Whereas if you go with billing and invoicing, accounts receivables and payables, it's a concept of sales and distribution and FI. FI will not change, FI is always there. The only thing is general ledger postings and all the stuff is same. The concept might be a different, but the end goal is same. Okay,
So
let me give you a
what is the
simple
difference?
example.
What is the difference between FI and FICA?
No, that's what I'm getting into that logic now.
Okay.
So if I look into general ledger posting, a simple difference for your better understanding, in R3 system, we call it as account determination, wherein we use a concept called we'll go with chart of accounts, we'll go with company code, we'll go with sales organization, division, account determination ID for customer, account determination ID for material, accruals, I mean, account keys and accruals to identify a general ledger account, right? Because your sales, your marketing, everything depends on your sales organization, sales area, and we'll decide whether it is revenue or deduction based on your account keys and accruals. I mean, if you go with rebates and everything, it will go to accruals. Now, the same concept, if you look into utilities, it's a service sector. So the same GL account will be determined based on the chart of accounts, company code. Here there is no concept called sales organization or sales area. So we'll go with division. And in utilities, all your financial transactions depends on two things, mainly classified based on two things. Those are called main transactions and sub transactions. So throughout the application, wherever you're hitting the financial accounting, they ask what is your main and what is your sub-transaction, right? So that's a difference. Now, so when you deal with FICO, financial accounting, accounts receivables and payables, AR and AP, whereas FICA is contract accounts receivables and payables. Receivables and payables is common, but how you are receiving or how you are paying is based on the contract account concept. The difference is, if you go with R3 system, you are dealing with, even though we call it as customers and vendors, basically if you look into R3 system, the customer base is limited. Like if you go with automobile industry, you might be dealing with uh, direct customers are very few, and then you might be dealing with your dealers. Whereas if I go with the retail industry, I might be dealing with wholesale, I might be dealing with distributors, I might be dealing with CNF agents, I might be dealing with dealers. If I go with defense, it's strictly limited resources, right? Whereas if I go with utility application, end customer, I'm dealing with the end customer. So just think of the customer base, right? So in any other industries, your customer base will be, the max is 50,000, 100,000. But whereas if you look into the utility applications, each application or each utility service, you can expect a customer base like 2 million, 3 million, 5 million customers. And tracking each and every transaction of each and every customer is a very hard job, right? Each and every transaction, in the sense, for how many customers we did send an invoice, how many customers did I make a payment, how many customers do I need to remind, how many customers do I need to take action against their dues and everything. Every day you have to monitor all this customer base. That's where utility came up with the concept called contract accounts, receivables and payables. Streamlined. Clear? Any questions so far?
No, no issues.
Okay. So coming to my training session, we normally take one business scenario as a base, which is called meter to cash, MTC,
Okay.
which will cover the concepts of CS ending with FICA, every transaction. So the course design, how we did this one is, or we want to give you scenarios where you'll have a tightly integration of all these 5 different modules or 5 different components, and how the information is flowing from one module to another module or from one area to another area, right? That's where
Yeah.
we took example of meter to cash, because this is tightly integrated from customer service ending with again customer service. So it roams around, like it starts from customer services, it goes to work management, device management, billing and invoicing, FICA, and comes back to customer service. Okay. Now, so in customer services, as I said, I'm not going to cover the other applications, the front end applications like your self-service or CRM or C4C, to be frank, because these are two different applications. It doesn't matter which application you are using as a front end, but you are integrating back office as a utility. So we will be covering utility concepts, utility application concept, and we'll also discuss like how you're integrating with third-party applications. That's what I said, right? So either you're using C4C or you're using CRM or you're using Salesforce or any other application as a front end, how utilities is integrated with that, how we are passing the information, from where you have to pass those informations, which function modules we have to use, which BAPIs we have to use. Those things we'll be discussing. But no, I'm not getting into CRM, to be frank. Okay. So all your utility applications will be covering as part of utility system. Am I clear? So all the trendings, what we do is a part of back office.
Hello, Venkat. I think your line was, having some problems, so we can't hear for the last three, 4 minutes. Can you repeat, please?
So what I said is the entire training session has been designed for meter to cash. The reason why we take meter to cash is this is the area where you can have a knowledge on how we are integrating with other application components and how the data is flowing from one application area to another application area, right? Like if you start with customer services, how it is flowing the information till the financial accounting and coming back to customer services. So the entire life cycle will be looking into, but just for information, I'm not going to cover a part of CRM or C4C. Okay. But as I said,
Why you can't cover CRM?
no, CRM is a different application. I'm covering CS, not CRM. That's what I'm saying. So don't worry, this front office, whatever application you're using, either it could be CRM or C4C or whatever, the ultimate goal is how you are handling it as in a back office. Like in CRM or C4C, you're also dealing with your move and move out, transfer of service and everything, right? So those
Correct.
concepts will be covered as part of back office,
Okay.
not from CRM point.
Okay.
Okay. But as we discuss in customer services, I mean CS in a back office, we'll also discuss from where your CRM or from where your C4C is pulling that information from utility system. How you are integrating your C4C or CRM or Salesforce with utility application. Right? We'll be discussing about more MDT templates. We'll be discussing about your product configuration. CRM product is different. So product configurations we'll be discussing, MDT templates, how you are integrating your product configuration with MDT templates. All those things we'll be discussing, but no configuration from CRM because we don't have any CRM application.
But we are using in our project, we are using CRM.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So front end you can use any application, either it could be C4C or CRM or whatever, but at the end you are integrating with utility system.
Okay.
So that part we'll be discussing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The service order creation, you will be discussing about the service order creation in SAP system, no? That ISU.
Right. That's what I said. In utilities, in a back office, whatever activities we do, we'll complete that.
Okay.
So even if I take a customer services, that's where I said I took an example of MTC, meter to cash. So as part of meter to cash, we'll start from our setting up the technical master data, business master data. Like when I say business master data, your business partner, contract account, contract, technical master data, your connection object, premise, device location, installation, device installation. Then we'll do a move-in. Now, all these concepts are business scenarios. So we'll also see how to customize based on the business requirements. Not only using a standard SAP system. No, I don't want to go with that route. There are so many people who can train them. But the question is, each and every area, what is your business requirement? How you're going to configure your SAP standard functionality or SAP standard using your SAP standard, how you're going to meet the business requirement.
One scenario, for example, one scenario where that when a new customer is created during the move-in options, that deposit amount is based on the customer credit check, but the credit check is done by the third-party utility.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the third-party utility the return value, that deposit will be decided at $150 or $300.
Right.
That type of concept scenario we discussed in.
Right. There is a concept called security deposit. So as part of that security deposit, we'll be discussing different scenarios.
Okay.
Let's say simple example for your answer. So in US itself, there are different concepts. So if you go with electricity utility, privately owned organizations, then strictly they'll say they'll integrate with one of the credit bureau or credit union. So there are three different credit unions: Equifax, TransUnion. The other one is
That's okay.
there are three: Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. Sorry, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. These are three credit unions or credit bureaus. So they can integrate with any one of this credit union or credit bureau, where all these three organizations is maintaining each and every financial transaction or status of each and every resident of US. If you have a social security number, that means they have a record. Every record. Where you are buying, how much you are purchasing, are you paying your credit card bill or not, on time or not, how you any late payments, every record is with these three credit unions. So they maintain a credit score, what they call it as credit score.
In our
and
India,
they are classified. In India,
CIBIL score.
But we are not utilizing it properly as of now. But in US it's very strict. So they classify the customers based on the credit score. There are 4 different classifications: bad customer, good customer, very good customer, excellent customer. Right? So there is a different range of credit scores. Like they start with 300 is a minimum, 300 to 600 odd, 600, 650 or to 700, 700 to 750, 750 and above. So 750 and above is excellent customer. So if you are an excellent customer, then your interest free, your interest will be 0, APR will be 0, no security deposit, nothing. Whereas if you are into a bad customer, then you have to pay security deposit, you have to pay, you have to show insurance, what do you say, your interest rate will be high. Right? They start from 4.5 to 12%, 24%, whatever. So everything is different. But SAP does not understand what is credit score. Okay. So when you integrate with one of these credit unions or credit bureaus, you'll get the credit score. Based on the credit score in SAP, there is a concept called credit worthiness. So you have to maintain the credit worthiness based on the credit score what you receive. And SAP understands only one language, which is called credit worthiness. Now here, credit score works in a different way. Credit worthiness works in the opposite direction. Credit score is the highest is the best. Credit worthiness is the least is the best. Okay, got the concept? So credit score is the highest is the best. Credit worthiness, the least is the best. The reason is in utility system, the credit worthiness will have impact, or the credit score will get impacted based on so many activities. Let's say, for example, there is a concept called dunning. or a collection strategy. So as part of this, what we do is, if you have a due on a customer account, you'll start reminding the customer. If it is past due or overdue, then you'll take certain actions, right? You'll remind them, you'll add late payment charges, you'll send a disconnection notice, 48 hours notice, disconnection order, and all this stuff. So each
Right.
activity, you'll keep on adding the credit worthiness points. So if I say late payment charges, I'm going to add 4 points. If I create a disconnection order against the customer, I'll add 12 points, right? So if it will have an impact on your credit worthiness points, and based on the credit worthiness points, I'll have decision points. So
Okay.
security deposit is not only a part of move-in. There are other activities where I can charge a security deposit. Let's say in the same year, in the consecutive 12 months, I've created 3 different disconnection orders for you, for the customer, right? So immediately I can request a security deposit to provide a service, right? Or else, over a period of time, a customer created a bankruptcy. So as he is a bankruptcy customer, so I can request for a security deposit. Of course, that's a weird situation. So the
Yeah.
customer himself is saying, I'm not able to pay any debts. That's where I'm going to the bankruptcy. On top of it, your utility company says, oh, now we pay the security deposit. Okay. So those are the situations. So in
Okay.
any of these areas, you'll be integrating with your credit, one of the credit union or credit bureau,
Okay. Next.
right?
Yeah. Understood.
So we'll be discussing those web services. Don't ask me because I'm not a technical guy, but I'll give you the inputs how we create a service, web services, what information we have to, and which function modules we're going to use, and how you're going to trigger that point. Then, when you look into customer services, as well as as we are discussing with the move-in, so as part of move-in, you'll be triggering a service notification or a service order for your move-in request. So as a retail company, you'll be receiving the application from a customer. Then who's the actual infrastructure setup is your distribution company, right? Those are the responsible who has to take care whether they have to install the transformer or they just need to put the wiring and they just need to install the meter. So those are the people who has to take care of that. So if the distribution is different, then you'll send a service order or service notification. Within the department, you can also, without a different organization, you can just have a simple department itself, like meter shop. Either it could be your department or it could be your other organization. So you'll send a service notification or a service order to your respective department or organization to go and verify the infrastructure. That's called service order or service notification, right? Move-in notification. So move-in notification, as part of how you send this move-in notification, is again different concept. Different utilities use different concepts. So in Texas, there is a regulatory council called ERCOT, Electricity Regulatory Council of Texas. So each and every transaction has to go through that non-profitable organization. So they use a concept called Texas State. That's all EDI and IDOCs. So they'll trigger move-in request, and that move-in request will go to ERCOT. ERCOT will say, okay, this area is for so and so transmission TDSP. They'll send that request to respective TDSP. And
You're
as a
talking about
response,
you're talking about
sorry,
permissibility. Permissibility.
not the permissibility. We use how we are communicating with the department. So either we can use EDI IDOCs, right? So which
Okay.
is an automated process. It will trigger an IDOC. You guys know EDI, right? Electronic Data Interchange. Whereas how you communicate. Once you create a service order or a service notification, either you can communicate through EDI, iDocs, or else you can simply create a flat file. You can simply create a flat file, and that flat file you can send it to the respective departments, right? So ultimately, we are creating service notifications or service orders. So when you say service notifications or service orders, there are different service orders or service notifications: move in request, move out request, transfer request, um, high bill request, device repair request, device removal request, device installation request, device replacements, disconnections, reconnections, right? So there are
Yeah.
different notifications. All those comes under work management. Now the next concept is your device management. So device management is mainly responsible for your devices. So as part of utility application, how you are installing the device, that is device installation, device maintenance, device installations, device removal, device replacements, device certifications, all this is responsibility of device management. Not only this one, on a regular basis, your device management is responsible to collect the meter read on a periodic basis. Right? So your device management is responsible for creating the meter read orders, collecting the meter reads, sending the meter read orders, also meter read notifications, receiving the meter reads, verifying the meter reads, validating the meter reads, uploading the meter reads is the responsibility of your device management. Now, once we receive the meter read, once it is validated in the sense extrapolation, interpolation, implausible, plausible meter reads and everything. Once you get the meter read, device management activity is done. Now, once you get the meter read, your billing engine will kick in. That's called bill orders. So once you receive the meter read, based on the meter read, your billing order will calculate the consumption. Current meter read minus previous meter read is your consumption. So you'll have different formulas, different calculations all together, like how you want to charge consumption-based charges. So all that formulas, calculations, logic is called billing engine or billing master data. So how you're going to do your rate calculation, how you're going to use formulas, how you're going to utilize different formulas together to get one value, right? How you're going to calculate your consumption-based charges, flat charges, device charges, or any other charges you are going to calculate, on what formulas you're going to use, whether it is a consumption-based or a flat rate. All that is called billing master data, rate configuration, right? So we'll be discussing as part of billing master data, we'll be discussing all the rate configurations, rates, rate structure, rate determination. So your billing is responsible for service level charges. When I say service level charges, if I say electricity, all your electricity relevant charges is calculated as part of billing. The next concept is your invoicing. So if you are servicing more than one service, all your service level charges along with your administrative or account level charges. So when I say administrative or account level is your miscellaneous postings, late payment charges, disconnection charges, reconnection charges, security deposit, installment, everything comes under administrative or account level charges, including tax. So all those will be calculated as part of your invoicing document. And that is the one which we send to the customer. Now, once you create an invoice document, it will have two impacts. One, you'll send an invoice to the customer. Second, you'll be updating your general ledger postings. That means it will have an impact on your financial accounting.
Correct.
Now, once you post your values into GL accounts, general ledger accounts, your clock starts. That means once you hit the general ledger accounting, you are going to tell the customer saying, okay, we send you the invoice on so and so date. From this date, you have these many dates to make a payment. That's called
Aging,
payment terms.
aging starts. Okay.
Right. Aging. Aging is a different concept. Aging is after the due date will start.
Oh, okay, okay.
So normally what happens is once you post the document, you will say you have these many dates, which is called payment terms or terms of payment. So most of the utility companies goes one concept called 15 days as a due date,
Okay.
right? If I
Yeah.
send your invoice today, I'll give you 15 days so you can make a payment.
Yeah.
So a customer has 15 days, and some utility companies they say business days, some companies they say regular days, 15 days. So that they're different, but we'll give 15 days as a due date. So
Okay.
if customer is going to pay within 15 days, we are good to go. And we cannot expect all the customers are going to make a payment in 15 days.
Correct.
Now, what if customer is not making a payment within 15 days, right?
That means,
So as part of
yeah,
financial accounting, we'll be discussing how we are going to create a payment lot, how we are going to receive the payments, how many types of payment methods we can use, what is incoming payment method, what is outgoing payment method, where exactly we use incoming payment method, where exactly we use outgoing payment methods, how a customer can make a payment, what different types of payments he can do, like credit card, debit card, ACH, check payment, cash payment, right?
yeah.
Now, the question is, what if a customer missed his payment?
What is the customer?
Missed his payment. That
Oh,
means he
miss
missed his 15 days.
due date.
So based on the due date, you will start activities. Like first you will remind the customer, then you'll say, okay, I'm going to apply late payment charges. Then you'll say, okay, I'm going to send a disconnection notice. Again, I'll wait for 48 hours. Then I'm going to create a disconnection order, disconnect the service, right? So
Yeah.
disconnection, again, I'm going to apply disconnection charges because someone has to visit and disconnect the device,
Correct.
or someone has to do some activity. So I'm going to charge for disconnection charges, reconnection charges. Then what if even if I disconnected, customer is not making a payment, right? Then
Yeah.
what is further action? So I'm going to do a move out. Once I do a move out, I'll do a write off, right? Once I do a write off, then I'll hand it over to a collection agency, right?
Collection
Collection agency.
agency. Oh, they'll take care of. Okay.
Yeah. So in US, that's what happens. Like once the utility company says, hands up, I'm not getting this amount, make it as a bad debt. So what we do is in SAP, we'll do a write-off. And once we do the write-off, we'll hand it over to collection agency.
The
Collection
collection
agency
agent
will take care of it.
will take care of it. They'll collect and give back money to company, or how it's
I mean, there are two concepts in collection agency. Either you can sell your debt to collection agency, or
okay.
you can request to pay the collection agency. That means, let's say on a given day, you have $50,000 as a debt. So as a
Okay.
bunch, you can sell it off, saying, okay, give me 20% and enjoy your rest of the amount. So one time settlement. So 20% is 10,000, right? So just pay me 10,000, get rid of the debt. So that's the headache of collection agency, whether they collect 50,000, 40,000 or 20,000 or whatever, they are not taking care of anything. That's one activity. The other activity is will keep on sending the information saying, okay, you have to collect this much. Whatever amount they collected, based on that, we'll give the percentage. So let's say today you collected $10,000. So you'll get 7% 7% on commission. So we'll pay 7% whatever you collected. Two different concepts. Clear? Hello?
Hello. Okay. Sorry, we muted.
Yeah. So there are different concepts what your utility company is doing. Either you can sell off the debt or you
Okay.
can pay a percentage based on the
Okay.
collection.
Okay.
So this is all your activities, which is called dunning, D-U-N-N-I-N-G, dunning, or the latest technology we call it as collection strategy. If you use a concept called BRF plus, business rules and framework, we call it as a collection strategy.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
we'll be discussing all your dunning activities, dunning procedure, dunning activities, dunning levels. Now, as a customer, I don't want to get into this mess because it will screw up my credit score.
Correct.
So what other options we have? So customer has an option called he can defer the date,
Or installment.
or I can go with an installment, or I can go with the budget billing, or I can go with the AMB, average monthly billing,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
we'll be discussing about all these concepts. Not only
Venkat.
discussing, everything will configure our own.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Venkat. How long it will take? Because
Yeah.
we
Another
have some
call.
other calls also which is coming out.
No,
Coming up.
I'm done. I'm done.
Another 5 minutes.
I'm done. So if you have any questions, you can shoot me. So at the end, these are the concepts which I'm going to cover along with the scenarios and the configuration. That's what I want to tell you.
Any projects will be given for during that session? Project live main.
Assignment will be given, not the projects. Assignments will be given based on the scenarios.
Only
So what I
assignment,
do,
not.
I give you a scenario. You have to come up with a solution. Then we'll discuss those solutions.
Okay. What about the payment terms? Training? How
Payment
many hours?
terms you can discuss with him.
Okay. What about the
The
timeline for completing the project? Per day, how many hours or how it's going to be?
So on a daily basis, it will be around 1 hour, 1.5 hour,
Okay.
1 hour and a half. If it is
Okay.
weekends, then we go with 3 hours, 3 hours.
Okay.
Okay.
And we haven't
How long is
finalized
the
the
total?
timings yet. You can coordinate with Best Buy, that's Giridhar.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Fine.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks,
Okay.
then.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Yeah. It
Okay,
was
guys,
nice.
have a
Yeah.
good evening.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Good night. Have a good day.